Okay, so you guys know who I am, but for the benefit of those who do not and who might join us or might watch this later on, my name is Valerie Hope, and I'm an executive coach by profession, but really I'm just a curious learner. And I think the best topic I've learned about my lifetime has been people and human nature, and helping people with whatever information I gather as I learn has been really important to me. And the reason I love having these conversations is because it gives me an opportunity to not only learn more about people, but on the spot be able to address some of the things that are most that are top of mind, right? And if nothing else, you get started the day with some inspirational conversation or some thought-provoking discussion, which is my favorite thing to do. But before we go into all of that, I think the important part of listening sometimes is just being present, like literally being in your skin, in your space, whatever you're driving, if you're taking care of your child, if you're in your house, that you actually find yourself present so that you can listen. Actually, this weekend, I purchased this little reminder of being in the present. And it's kind of cheesy, but it made me so happy when I saw it. It looks like a watch. You probably won't be able to see it very clearly on the camera, but it looks like a watch. And so just as a piece of jewelry, I thought it was nice. But on the face of the watch, you may not be able to read it because it's upside down and backwards, perhaps for you all. But it says the word now. So meaning if someone asks, what time is it? I'm like, the time is now. And that it's time to come alive. So this is just a reminder for myself. All right, so let's just start by getting grounded and do the best you can, no matter what circumstance you're in. I found a grounding activity, it's kind of a mindfulness practice that I think would be really helpful and interesting. And this one is about identifying resistance and smiling at and through the resistance, which is a little counterintuitive to what we usually experience as resistance. We want to usually fight back or ignore it or do something else. But this time we're going to actually smile at the resistance. So you may close your eyes if that works best for you. If you're not in a safe place to do that, please do not close your eyes. But do pay attention to the words that I'm saying. And if you can, just make sure that you're mentally present in the exercise. Okay? So first of all, think about if you're experiencing any resistance in your body. And what that might feel like is it could be some tension, like there's some tightness someplace. Check your shoulders, your neck. Those are usually the usual suspects. It could be your legs, your back. Right? See if there's any tension anywhere. If it's not tension, you might find that there's some sort of, could be tingling maybe, sometimes even pain at its most extreme. But see if you can find an area of your body that has that sensation. Take a deep breath. Release it. Another deep breath. Release it. And now, this one you can all do is smile. Now, if you can't do a full-fledged smile, like showing your teeth, that's okay too. But at least that the corners of your mouth are moving upwards. That's really important. And think about the resistance and where it is in your body. Like I said, it could be tension, it could be tingling, it could be pain. And the idea is that you want to just be present to whatever that sensation is. Okay? Now, when you are beginning, generating that feeling, smiling does create a sense of excitement, of joy, through chemicals in the body. And so what we're wanting to do is kind of trick our body, if you will, or trick our mind into producing that chemical. But usually activating those muscles of a smile has that impact. Allow the smile to not only be on your face, but now allow that smile to kind of wash over you, starting from your head, moving downwards. And if you don't have that feeling it's almost like a waterfall flowing down from your head down, you don't have that feeling right away, think about something that brings you joy. Even think of something that you did as a child or if go as far back as that, or you might even think of something you've done recently that just kind of warmed you up, right? That joyful feeling. And let it radiate all the way down your body. Visualize that particular flow, that energy, that excitement, that joy, that happiness flow down the center of your spine. Wash over your internal organs, your heart, your lungs, your stomach, your spleen, and every muscle or tissue that covers those areas. Allow it to wash through liver, kidneys, intestines, going all the way down to your reproductive organs, your legs, and your feet. Again, the sensation, that chemical, that chemical that is produced when we smile does generate a sensation. And I just want you all to just pay attention to that sensation and let it wash over you. From head all the way to your feet. And as we end this mindfulness exercise, just think of something that you're grateful for. It could be something physical you're grateful for. It could be something that you're experiencing. It could be the kind of work that you do. It could be the family that you have, any area of your life that you want to express some gratitude, and send that smiling energy to that particular place, person, experience. And then we'll end by just taking a couple of deep breaths, releasing it. All right. And that's our mindfulness moment for this time. Today I thought it was interesting to talk a little bit about resistance. We started talking about how, that tingling, achiness, perhaps pain, numbness that sometimes we experience in our body. But when we've been talking about goal setting for the last couple of sessions, and we spend a lot of time thinking about what we want to do and how we want to do it. What was interesting is I worked with a group of leaders, and that particular group wanted to map out their entire year, right? All the goals that they had and all the objectives and the things they wanted to achieve, wanted to map it out. So we worked tirelessly and mapped out their entire 12 months. Okay. What was really interesting, though, they were so jazzed about it. We had Post-it notes and Sharpies, so it was an interactive exercise. We used the walls of their conference room and basically papered it all with Post-it notes of all the different activities, all the types of clients that they would engage, the people that they were going to hire to add on to their team, the amount of money that they would be generating, revenue they would be generating at that time of the year. Like, they really went to very specific places of what they wanted to accomplish. And what was really interesting is at the end of that, they're really proud that, wow, look at everything we came up with. This is what we want to do. And then I asked them to think about what would get in the way of accomplishing these particular goals. And they worked so hard at putting out what they want to accomplish, but I asked them, what would get in the way of actually doing this? They took a moment and started thinking. And the first response, which is pretty typical, is kind of the surface level response. Oh, well, our company or some of the resources that we use or the corporate office and the decision makers, we might need to run some things by them. At first glance, that was the resistance that showed up that wouldn't allow them to meet the goals, is those individuals at the corporate office. And then we went down a little further and I said, okay, well, what about here? What about in your environment? And then the conversation turned into, well, no, our team members, some of them might be more prepared than others. Others require a little bit more coaching or a little bit more guidance. Or this person is new, so their relationship with this client may not be solid enough yet. So they started to ideate on that. And literally, as they were talking about all the things that would show up as resistance, started to write those down on Post-it notes as well, because we wanted to make sure that those were, called those out. And then I asked, okay, so let's now look at what would be the resistance within you that would make it difficult to achieve all these goals. And they started to think. That one took a little bit longer. And because we created an environment of openness and trust, there was no criticism. It's just an opportunity for them to just say what was there. One of the leaders said, delegating has always been kind of a challenge for me. I have the most institutional knowledge. I've been around the longest. I know the most stuff. And I've created my schedule and my life so that I could get things done and then be home with my family and really maximize the amount of time I spend with my family. If I were to delegate something, I'd have to teach somebody how to do it. I'd have to help them build the relationship that I have. That takes a lot more time that would take away from being with my family. That's my biggest challenge. And the fact that all of those conversations that we had about everything that they wanted to get done was so energizing to them. What was really interesting is when we started exploring what would be the resistance that they would confront. Resistance from the external forces of the corporation, resistance from the forces of their team and their department, but then more importantly, the internal forces that they experienced themselves personally. The conversation took a whole different turn. And I share that because how many times do we spend, especially as we're going into a new year, thinking about what this new life is going to look like, right? Whether or not we're going to be losing weight, going on a trip, to certain activities with our family, saving money or making more money, changing jobs, all these different things that might come up. And we also talked about who to be, who we will be after we do all of those particular activities or as we're doing them. And today I just want to challenge you to start thinking about what resistance do you know? Because we know, we experience it all the time. We set a goal or an intention or an objective, and then we know that something's going to bump up against it. And it could be resistance, looks like a lot of different things. It might look like impatience, things aren't moving fast enough, so I'm not even going to bother, right? Especially when it comes to engaging, working with other people, that might show up for you. For some, it might be procrastination. I don't really want to get started. And, there's always a lot of creative avoidance involved. Start looking for other things that are more important, right? Resistance might also look like a little irritation, like, why do I have to do this? That might turn into rebellion. Well, I don't want to be told what to do. I don't think that this should be a goal. Our company shouldn't expect this from me, or my family shouldn't expect that from me, right? So there might be a little rebellion in there. So resistance shows up in a lot of different ways. I'm going to challenge you all to think about how that resistance shows up for you, especially around the things that you want to accomplish. And like I said, resistance doesn't necessarily have to be a mean or a bad force, but we need to look at it because it will be the one of the main things that will sabotage any progress that we make. I've taken a couple of opportunities to do intensive meditation, which is one of the reasons I like to insert it into our conversations every day, because it's an opportunity for me to also be mindful. But I did a 10-day course meditation, and in those 10 days, we were not allowed to have any books, cell phones, television, radio, not even conversation with the other participants. Our meals, just to give you an idea, the tables were pushed up against the wall. So literally we were having a meal facing the wall so we wouldn't be tempted to interact with other people. And the first time I did it, it was a little bit uncomfortable in the first few moments, but then the idea is to really begin to get a better sense of yourself. And what was interesting is that the first 3 days or so, whenever we would sit for actual meditation, we would spend time in silence, obviously in a nice dim room. I remember I sit there with my eyes closed, and we had all these different cushions that we could sit on to be comfortable. And as I was going through the meditation, all of a sudden I think about, next time I'm not going to use the blue cushion. I got to use the red cushion. It's going to be more comfortable. I'm meditating. And I thought, you know, next time I'm gonna cross my legs right over left instead of left over right because then it'll be more comfortable for this knee. Meditate. I need to make sure I wear 2 sweaters because I do get a little cool. And literally, this time of meditation that really supposed to be just being in the present moment, right, going through whatever the technique was that they were teaching us, my mind kept going to what I was going to do next time, the next hour, the next day to be more comfortable. And as I experienced that for 3 full days straight at the very beginning, and I realized like I'm a control. Mind you, most of the people in my life are not surprised to know this fact about me. But it was interesting because without all of the noise of, distractions of phones and other, reading material or conversation with other people, when I just literally had to be with myself, the only resistance that showed up was me. The only thing that got in the way of me experiencing the meditation that I was learning was me, was that my mind wanted to manage and control the outcome or the process. And it taught me a really powerful lesson. Like by day 4, when I really got a hold of, oh, that's what my mind's been doing this whole time. So it's made it very difficult for me to actually learn what I'm here to learn. What I started doing from that point forward was just noticing, oh, there goes my mind trying to strategize for the future. Well, here I go again, thinking about, what's going to be for lunch today, and just calling it out, literally. And it didn't take long, even sometimes in the most uncomfortable, when I was most uncomfortable, sometimes I felt some sort of pain or maybe there was some itching. And the idea in that particular meditation is not to adjust or move as much as possible. So I really just paid attention. Oh, wow, that's itching. Oh, that's a little sore, a little tender. And I found that really helped me build the discipline, that mental muscle, if you will, of being still and noticing when something was happening. I share all of that because I want you all to start looking at what you have coming up for the next year is not going to be without its resistance. It could be external forces, right? What other people think, what they're willing to do or not do, whether or not there are resources available to accomplish what you want to accomplish. But more importantly, I want you to start paying attention to the internal resistance that shows up. Resistance coming from you, the feelings, the ideas, the thoughts that might get in the way. That's the thought that I wanted to share with you all today. So in a moment, I'm going to unmute the line and want to hear what you've noticed about resistance that's come up for you, either during this conversation. You might have been resisting the whole time what I've been saying, and that's okay, nothing personal. Or perhaps you've seen in some of the examples I shared how that might be showing up for you in your life. All right, so I'm going to unmute the lines. And if you are interested in sharing something, please just tell us who you are, where you're calling from, where you're logged in from, and then share. And if you have something that you're dealing with, I'm also here to coach you through it. All right, here we go. I'm unmuting everybody.
Who is it?
Okay.
Get a number and I'll call.
All right.
What happened?
What are some thoughts? What have you?
Yeah, I can say that my resistance is definitely procrastination.
Okay, procrastination. Tell us more about that, Aisha.
Yeah, just I tell myself, okay, I'm going to do this, and then the day comes and I say, oh, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow, and I don't know what causes that, but I mean, I know that is resistance itself, and so I that hinders progression of any sort,
Mm. What does the resistance? Well, first of all, before we go any further, tell everybody else who you are and where you're calling from.
Hey, I'm Vaishia calling from New York City, and
Cool.
And so, yeah, as you say, the new year, those resolutions for the gym and everything, work out, get fit, and you say, okay, why wait till the new year,
Mm-hmm.
There's still days to start now. And so I was just giving an example of what I have done, or well, haven't done because of resistance. Yeah.
Well, you haven't done because of resistance. Well, okay, so let's talk
Right, but I'm going
procrastination.
to. What
I'm-
happened?
I said, I'm sure that there are others on the line who also know that resistance shows up in the form of procrastination. I know for sure it does in my life. I'm
Okay.
curious, Aisha, what does it look like when you're procrastinating? Like paint a picture. Let's say you
Okay.
have a goal and then procrastination shows up. What does it look like?
Okay. It looks like maybe getting ready to go and then something happens. You get a phone call, and that phone call seems a bit more interesting. So you see yourself on the phone knowing you're supposed to be out there. Or, oh, that television show's coming on. I'll go after. And so by the time you watch the show and you're going to go after, you see yourself nodding off in front of the TV.
Yeah,
You
so that
know?
creative avoidance, something more interesting comes up, like a call, right, or something
Right,
urgent,
right.
urgent, or that TV show. And
Yeah.
let's explore this because I think this is the part about resistance that is the most interesting because we notice it like that, but then we don't actually we're not with it. We resist it or
Right.
resist resistance sometimes. So I'm curious
Mhm.
in those moments, let's say you have a phone call and you say you see yourself not going to the gym or not going to whatever it is you said you were going to go do because you're not
Mhm.
home. What is the experience of yourself? Like what's going through your mind as you notice that you're not taking the
Well,
time?
first, I don't think I see it at the moment that it's happening, but as you said, to paint a picture and look back on it, I totally see that now. And so your question is what now?
Yeah, so what do you notice? You may not notice it
I
at the moment, but
right.
what do you notice?
What do I notice now looking at it? That it's, I guess, just a form of an excuse, like a reason not to really do what I said I was going to do.
And you're conscious of that at what point?
Looking back on it, yeah.
Looking back. Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
would you
Not
be
in the moment.
not in the moment? We're almost
Right.
conveniently blind to it, right?
Right. Conveniently blind. I haven't thought of that, but that makes sense.
Why does it make sense for you?
Because at the time, you're just seeing what you want to, and it's totally convenient for you. So you just go ahead with, oh well, I was doing this, so that's why I wasn't able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. But going forward, now I will definitely be able to recognize it and do something about it.
All right. Well, again, for the benefit of others in the group, let me just pause there for a second and see if the others, can you hear something in what Baisha is sharing? Do you hear something that might be true for you also? Just say yes or unmute yourself and say yeah or absolutely or.
Absolutely. Oh my God, yes.
Very good. All right. So Baisha, would you be willing to talk about something now more relevant, meaning something that's actually about to happen, a goal that you currently have?
um, I would. I wouldn't mind waiting a little before I reveal any of that. Give other people a chance to speak.
Got it.
Or
Okay.
maybe that's resistance right there, but okay.
What do you notice about that resistance?
I just caught it. Oh my
the
goodness.
resistance to expose, right?
Right. And I guess I don't really have an answer yet, so that's why too, yeah.
Well, I asked because when you said in the future, right? I know
Mhm.
now how I will address it. I'm wondering if
Mhm.
you have something in the future, in the near future, that you
Mhm.
that you think that an opportunity to address it would come up.
Right. I agree that there is something of that nature that I can address.
So, for example, well, you said that you would like for someone else to share. So
Yes, give them
honor
time.
that. I'm going to honor that, but I want you to come. I'm going to come back to you after this.
Okay.
Okay. All right, who else would like to share somewhere where resistance? Mariam, you said absolutely. So,
Yes. Um, so I think for me, and you know what I was telling you about this project that I'm working on and how I've been able to do little bit at a time now that I started, daily taking action. But I do feel, so I was thinking, because it's been a goal for a year now. And it, even now, I'm working on it and it's not all done, but I do feel that resistance, and I was trying to ask myself and kind of go into like, what is it? Why is this so hard for me? And um, just kind of probing a little bit and thinking, I was thinking that for me, it's kind of like it was more about, or it is a little bit even now, like will caring about what others would think of it. Like
okay, say more about that.
um as in I'm not at the place where I could say that I'm completely independent of the opinions of others. I still, there's that care for like, so
What others think?
of what exactly, like, is is this good enough? What will they think? Will they find this beneficial? Like, oh well, other people's are already, they're doing this too, so do I need to do this too? um so I so after thinking, I thought this may be my resistance, that I have not been able to complete it by now. It's that it could be that.
So you're saying that resistance for you shows up with anticipating what another person might say or some sort of criticism or judgment that they might have about what you're doing?
Right, criticism and judgment, yes.
Yeah. Oh, those are when you have that thought, what happens within you? Like this is the piece that's a little bit, it's a little it's insidious about resistance, because
Mm,
oftentimes it's not just something that we think happens outside. We actually have a reaction to it, right?
yes.
For example, an event, like somebody says something or somebody does something. It could have happened, and you're working on this project and you notice someone mentioned something, or someone did it and it's in a certain way that people were really impressed with. Let's just say that's the event. And then
Mm,
we have a judgment about that event. Ooh, that was good, or
mm,
that's bad, right? So we make some judgment about what happened. Then that generates a feeling or a sensation. So that feeling could be sadness, like I don't know if I'm ever going to be that good, or like, oh, I'm going to beat him. I think I'm going to do better than that, right? So there's some sensation or some feeling that shows up afterwards, and we react based on the feeling we have. Although
right.
we don't react because of the event.
Mm,
The event first, then we have a judgment about the event, then we have some sort of feeling about the judgment, then we react. So what I'm pointing at is when you have that experience of I don't want to be judged, criticized, right? You have a certain, there's that when a thought comes up, you have a judgment about that thought.
mm,
Is that clear?
I see, yes.
So what's your judgment about the thought somebody's gonna, evaluate or criticize what I'm doing or judge what I'm doing? What's your judgment about that?
That it's not going to be that good.
Yeah, it won't be
I
positive.
didn't do a right. Right. It's not a positive judgment.
Or that you rather not be judged, so you just opt out.
Right, and then I say, "Oh, I have so much to do. I can't work on this right now."
But wait, hang on. Before we jump to that, that's the reaction. But here's where you get I want to give you guys I want to give you some power around this, right? So the first thing is, okay, you know that somebody's going to judge me or somebody's going to criticize me. How I feel, what comes up for you is like, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be a good thing. And you have a feeling. When you realize it's not going to be a good thing, there's a feeling. What's that feeling, Miriam?
The feeling. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes. So you're saying when I think about like, oh, there will be a judgment, what is that feeling?
When you know that judging, that the fact that it's going to be bad, right? It's going to be negative experience for you. What feeling does that generate?
What kind of feeling? I mean, I don't know what to call it, but obviously not a good feeling that it may discourage me from doing other things then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that again, that would be the reaction, but I want you to just take a moment, kind of like how we did in the beginning, see,
Okay.
even think about being judged right now. Like even thinking about receiving some sort of criticism or some sort of negative feedback. What do you feel in your body? What do you know? Just take a look.
I have an idea, but I don't want to say anything.
Well, hang on, let her work through this one.
Right, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
I'll come back to you.
Okay. No, take your time.
But in the meantime, Aisha, you be looking for yourself too.
Okay. Yeah,
How
that's
that
yeah.
for you. Yeah.
Yep.
Miriam, do you have something?
I'm still thinking, but I can't.
I don't want you to think.
Are we talking about like our body's reaction, like a headache or like?
It could be. Yeah, it could be a headache. It could be even just talking about it right now. Maybe you feel a little tension in your stomach. It could be all of a sudden your shoulders are tense, or you start getting a little bit of like blood rushing to your face. There's something that's happening, some sensation.
Headaches are common for me.
Headache?
Headache for me. And
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so you notice there's a headache, right? There's maybe some tension in your head somewhere.
And then of course the stomach, you feel different.
So when you say different, what does that mean?
A little like I don't know what I can call it.
The stomach gets tied up.
Right.
What would you call it, Miriam?
Huh?
Miriam, what would you call it?
I don't know what I would call it, but I'm still thinking. Can we come back to me?
I think you guys are master resistors.
Well, I had an answer, but I didn't want to say it for her.
No, because your answer is only true for you.
True. That's true.
When we're talking about something as personal as resistance, it only is true for you. Now, we might have some similar experiences, we might have a similar reaction, but what I'm wanting to point to you guys is there's every one of those moments, you have a choice. Okay? You have a choice, A, to observe the event, or just that's an event. This is the criteria that they have for these projects. So-and-so got, they sent an email about how great this person did on their project. It's an event devoid of any meaning. It's just what happened. Right? Aisha, some of this may sound familiar to you. It's only what happened, what occurred. The judgment about it, like, oh, Eric, okay, oh yeah, Eric always has the best projects, good for him, right? We have a judgment about what happened. Like, we don't like it, or we think that they shouldn't have done that, that's not fair, right? We have some judgment about it, or like, oh, wow, that's the standard? Well, I don't know if I can do that, right? There's a judgment about it. In that moment, you also have a choice. Am I going to judge it as a positive? or am I going to judge it as negative, for example?
Mm.
And then then you have a sensation that accompanies a judgment. Oh, I got this headache. Oh, my stomach's a little bit tight or a little queasy. And to the extent that you can be with each of those moments, they happen in like milliseconds, really.
Right.
Most of the time we just go react. We're not doing it. Or I'm going to watch TV instead. Or, right? But to the extent that we can start just being present and mindful of those moments. Oh, here's the event. Here's my judgment about it. Oh, I have that feeling, that sensation has come over me. Then you can control the reaction.
Hmm.
What are you guys hearing in everything I'm saying?
Say that again.
What are you hearing in what I've said? What are you noticing?
That you're giving us an approach on what we can do once we recognize those internal negative signals that we, put out there. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, so it's an opportunity to be more mindful of what's
Mindful.
happening,
Yeah.
slowing it down just to be. You might still have the reaction that you would have had a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
That might not.
So you're saying we should observe, just look at them, watch them?
Yes.
Mm.
It's not,
Okay.
we very seldom just do anything, right?
Okay.
You typically have a reaction no matter what. I'm just inviting you all to start looking at the process, right? How do you evaluate that event that then leads to some sort of judgment about it, or some sort of, and then the feeling that you get as a result. Right? Then all it does is just makes you more conscious. Like, for example, when I said, when I was working with that group of leaders and when they started to actually look at the obstacles that would get in the way of them achieving their goals, then you can react differently. You're not stuck with, oh, there we go again. We didn't make this quarter's numbers, or hire the person we thought we wanted to hire. We didn't accomplish this financial, this metric. When you really have the opportunity to look at, okay, well, how do I feel about that? That will determine how you react to it. What are you guys hearing?
I'm thinking about what you just said.
What comes to mind?
I'm trying to understand and place it in, for example, like a singing thing, like fear of not doing as well as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
So something in me says, oh, why really bother?
Mm.
But I'm thinking, what do I think and how do I counteract that after?
Okay. So what's the goal? What is it that you'd like to accomplish?
Just singing again, without that. I mean, I always had little fears, but without it being so profound.
I got that. Yeah. So when you think about the event is, right?
Say that again? I can hear you.
So the event is, I want to sing again. Right?
Right.
That's the goal. Say, I want to sing again. What's your judgment about that goal?
Not much in practice, and man, I used to be able to hit those notes before, those types of things, and but I know I'm still good, right?
So the judgment then is, I want to do this, but I probably won't do as well as I used to. I don't feel as comfortable as I used to.
Yeah, like never lost an audition and stuff like that, but you knew what that took. And so now that some of those things are lacking, it's like, do I give it that shot again,
When you have that thought that, should I even bother? I know what it takes. I'm not sure if I'm ready, all those things. When you have that thought, what feeling or sensation did that generate?
Discouragement.
Okay, good, good. Where do you
Yeah.
feel it in your body?
Say that again.
Where and I want you to think about where you might feel it physically. So discouragement,
Hmm.
kind of paint a picture about where does that show up in your body?
I never thought of that.
Well, just look
I
around.
don't have to say my head. Not a headache, but just, my head telling me stuff.
Well, I want you to think about a sensation.
Okay.
So just now, as you're saying what you're saying, oh, I don't know if I have what it's going to take, or I know what it requires.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can hit the same notes. As you're saying these things, what do you feel in your body?
Maybe tension. I mean, this is just a guess because I can't say I'm channeling that right now.
Well, channel it.
Okay. Anxiety.
Okay, where do you feel that?
Maybe the gut.
Describe it for us.
Okay, I can't really say I feel it because I'm kind of laughing. Oh my God. Okay, let me see.
You're doing really
Yeah,
good.
maybe nerves, anxiety. Yeah. Let me see. Where do I feel it? Yeah, maybe the belly area, where it gets a little tense.
Okay, so a little tense in the belly. There's that.
Right.
That makes the feeling. You define that feeling as anxiety or nerves, right? A little jittery, perhaps. Maybe
Mhm.
race,
Mhm.
right?
Say that again. I'm sorry. It keeps on cutting out.
Then
Yeah. What did you?
maybe your heart starts to race. Maybe you're feeling
Right.
okay. Got it. So then think about now you've gotten from the event. I want to sing again. To the judgment. I don't know if I have what it takes. I don't know if I want to put that kind of work in. There's a negative judgment. It sounds like to me,
Mhm.
right? It's not like, oh, I can't wait. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's kind of the nerves. The nerves. It's the nerves. I get, you know.
But hang on a second. Hang on.
Mhm.
The nerves come from the judgment.
The nerves come from. Let me think of that.
Yeah. The nerve, because if you,
Yeah, because I think it is that what others think too. Oh my God.
but you see how your feeling comes from the judgment you gave it?
Yes.
It
Yep.
doesn't come from, I want to sing again. It comes from what you think that means.
Mhm. Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
And so when you have that feeling of anxiety is because you thought it's not going to go well or it's going to be hard. It's going to take something that I'm not willing or not, it's not going to come easy, right? That's where that,
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. I don't think that it's not gonna go well, but it's gonna be hard,
yeah.
and it might be funny. It might be funny. You know. Yeah.
What do you see though when you're looking at, okay, that's the feeling that is, okay, if you have that feeling of nerves and anxiety, what's the reaction?
Mhm.
What generally happens after you've had that feeling?
After I've had that feeling.
Yeah, you've had this, you wanted to sing, you say,
Mhm.
hard, I don't know if I can hit the notes the same way, it's going to
Mhm.
work hard, and then at the end of this, you have that feeling of anxiety, nerves, jittery stomach.
Right.
What happens after that when you've had those feelings of nerves and jittery? What's the outcome?
Well, I can't really say when I'm thinking of it, I get that bad as if I were about to sing right away, and I know I'm going to be hurting something, stuff like that. That's when I feel those things overwhelmingly. But
Got
just
it.
thinking about it and speaking about it right now, I can't say I feel that way. Not really.
That's okay. Yeah, you don't have to feel the way that right now, but I'm asking,
Right. So you mean in the moment if I'm about to?
yeah, in the moment, do you sing? Do you go for it?
Yeah, go for it. It doesn't sound like singing, to be honest, because of the nerves and everything. And I know what I used to sound like, if you know what I mean. And I know how I sound if no one's listening versus, people are going to listen. And so it totally changes. And, yeah, I can tell you about a little project that, where I did do something and it turned out well, but I was still like overwhelmingly nervous, and I didn't consider what I heard singing, if you know what I mean. But I still made it through. I still wound up somehow winning the little thing.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but I want you to look at how your performance in this case, or your reaction, is
Right.
based on the judgment you had about the event, about the activity, and the feeling that it generated. And then you performed according to the feeling.
Yes. And I wish I could have performed according to a better feeling, if you know what I mean. A more relaxed, fearless, way.
Okay, so what would that look like if you had to start from the event is, the activity is, I'm going to go sing someplace. Right? I'm going to go sing somewhere, or I have an audition, or I have an event.
Yeah, I think be well practiced, be well equipped. Then less anxiety happens. I'm telling you.
I get
That's
that.
just what I feel, yeah.
Let me back you up a little bit, because even that is jumping straight to the reaction.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to tell you guys. It's very seldom that our reaction is not going to be influenced by the feeling that we have or the judgment that we've made. If you're not clear on the judgment, and then you're not mindful or present to the reaction or to the feeling, your reaction will be influenced no matter what.
If what? If what? If we're not mindful of?
If you're not mindful of the feeling.
Okay.
What are you hearing?
I get it. If I'm not mindful of the feeling, then it will revisit itself again because I didn't take the time to think about it, the process, and what happened in each instance, right?
But even before the feeling, you have a judgment about what's about to happen. I saw an article recently, and they were interviewing some athletes, and in interviews they would, a lot of, especially like newscasters or reporters, well, they'll go up to an athlete right before they're about to go on the field. I don't know if you guys watch tennis, but tennis is my favorite sport. It happens all the time. Some of the top players, I'm talking Rafa Nadal, Serena Williams, Roger Federer. They'll go up with the microphone and they'll go, so how are you feeling about this match? How are you feeling about your opponent? And I'm excited, I've been really working hard. They don't say I'm nervous, I'm so anxious, I am.
So true.
Right? Because there's a fine line between anxiety and excitement.
They're kind of the same things, huh?
It might feel the same way. You might still have the jittery stomach. You might still have the tension in the neck and the shoulders, right? But the feeling that's generated is a feeling that you can then use to
push forward, yeah.
Yeah, to turbocharge the performance.
I get it.
But without our being able to manage how we judge the event. So the event in that case would be, is a match, or is a tournament, is a competition. That's the event, the activity. If the judgment is not, hey, I have a chance of winning it, winning this, or the judgment is, here's a positive opportunity for me to show what I've worked on, or what I love to do. That judgment then leads to, I'm excited to take this on. Let's see how this is going to go. And then the reaction, they have likely a stronger performance.
Okay. Yes.
They have a match, they have a tournament, there's a game. The judgment is, I can't believe, why do I have to do this? I'm tired. I don't even want to play this, dude. I don't want to do this. It's generally negative. The feeling is probably like, I'm exhausted, or I'm nervous. The next piece then might be the reaction is the performance is probably not going to be as strong.
Right.
Follow?
Yes, I get it. So that same, even though, the nerves and the excitement, they take kind of the same physical stress levels, one is more productive. I get it. And it's
And
better
you
to give it
get to
that
choose.
excited outlook and give it that, yeah, I'm anxious to share what I got, yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Yeah,
So
very good.
what will you do with that?
Remember that and put that into practice the next time I have that anxiety and the resistance
Well, what
to,
do you have
to
coming up where you can put that to practice?
say that again.
What do you have coming up that might put that to practice?
I don't have anything coming up yet, but I can find something.
Good. Well, tell me, what would you want to do? You said you want to sing again. So
Right?
be?
What?
Where would you want to sing again, or what would you?
I'd have to look and see where there you know, lounge openings, they have open mics.
Okay, good. So let's break this down. The activity is I need to look for open mic opportunities.
Right.
That's the activity. What's your
Right.
judgment about that activity?
Now it's, I want to share what I got. I'm just
Good.
being cooperative.
I don't need you to be cooperative.
No, but that's a good outlook. I want to practice that, seriously.
So that's your first opportunity is to see, okay, I'm
Right.
thinking of taking this on. That in itself will produce a judgment.
Right.
Just saying I'm thinking of doing this. All right. So you have the judgment. So then you can have the judgment of, yeah, I'm excited about this. This is an opportunity to show what I've got.
Right.
When you say that, what's the feeling or the sensation that comes up?
It's a good feeling. It's a proud feeling. It is.
Pride. And
It's optimistic. It's more optimistic than nervy.
Yeah. So your reaction might be, hey, I'm really going to look for places that I would love to play at, or places I've heard a lot about, or
Right. Yep.
get that? Was this helpful?
Yes, it was very.
Okay, good. Good job.
Thank you.
Going through the steps. I know it takes a little bit of time, but that's,
I know.
and for the benefit of the others on the line, I just wanted to point out that yes, every single opportunity for us to achieve something is always going to be fraught with some kind of resistance. And what we really discussed today was looking at the resistance, not just from something to avoid or something to just be resigned that this is just going to happen, this is going to be how it is, but to look at resistance as, hey, there's an event. We've made some judgment about that event or that activity. And then because of the judgment we made, it generates a feeling or a sensation within us that has us react to the event. Right? It doesn't just happen in a vacuum. There's a very micro processes that you just have to be mindful about. Good work today, Maisha. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Although they didn't have an opportunity to share anything we have a couple more minutes left on the call.
Okay.
Ask the others anything that you'd like to share about what you heard or about what you got from what Maisha shared. I'm going to take that as a no, not right now. But I do appreciate you all being on the call today. I think like, the main thing is, I remember it's a quote by Carl Jung. Carl Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist. And one of the things that he's noted for saying is that what you resist not only persists, but grows in size. What you resist not only persists, not only continue, but it gets bigger. So our resistance, when we meet resistance with more resistance, like I shouldn't feel that way, I should try harder, all of those things create a greater resistance. And our energy and our minds and our brains are used to manage the resistance rather than manage the performance. So that final thought for today is really about us embracing resistance rather than fighting against it. our brains have a lot more capability to deal with resistance from the point of making a positive judgment about it, embracing it, rather than trying to fight against it. Right?
Right.
Good work today. All right.
Yay.
Good. The next couple of Tuesdays are actual holidays, right? Tuesday, next Tuesday falls, Christmas Day falls next Tuesday, as well as New Year's the week after. So we won't have a call the next
Right.
2 weeks. Well, can't wait to see you guys at the beginning of January. So the next call will be January 8th, and I'll send
Okay.
an email to remind everyone about that call. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And if between now and then you have something you want to share about any of our conversations, feel free to send me an email or. All right, everybody.
Great.
That's
Okay.
the end of
Thank
our
you.
session today. Thank you. Thanks, everybody,
Okay.
for coming and joining us.
Alrighty. Take it easy.
Have a great one. Bye.
Okay. You too. Bye bye.